on with communism in Russia, Hitler wanting to create a unified Germany, and his name was Winston Churchill. And one day Winston Churchill stood up in Parliament, which is very much a no-no in British Parliament. It's not the cluster thing we got going in Canada. And he stood up and he waited till everybody's eyes were on him. And he paused. And he said, history will prove that this honorable Prime Minister is wrong in these matters. I know it is so because I will write the history. I know it is so because I will write the history. If we're going to survive as a country, if our organizations are going to survive, if our foundations are going to grow, we have to do it by changing the mindset, by getting people to realize that it comes to my human capital, that vision isn't about an email, a Facebook, a video message. Vision's about standing in front of people and making them believe that their history, their destiny is a matter of choice, not chance. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I think your industry is poised for such wonderful growth if you change the criteria by which the customer buys and how you sell, from stuff to solutions, from events to transformation. Thank you so much for your attention, and hopefully we can have a conversation. Thank you. The first question, always the most difficult. Anybody have one? Yes.
I have a question. Oh, okay. I have been in this business for over 20 years as a planner.
Yeah.
We still are struggling with our customers to recognize that we bring real value to them other than ordering the meals and making sure the wine is right for dinner. We all work really hard in order to impress upon our clients the fact that we can bring added value and all that crap, you know, the usual stuff. But, oh yes, that was just recorded, sorry. But it's still a struggle to make them understand that we are a viable part of their team, not just in planning the food and making sure that everyone gets the bed that they wanted in their room, but by helping to contribute to what goes on in their programs. Until that happens, we're still seriously underpaid and seriously undervalued. I mean, I love to hear what you're saying, and I think you're absolutely right, except that maybe I'm too old, maybe I'm too jaded. I know I'm one of the oldest people in the room, and I've been here forever. And I hate to say that it's not going to change, but I'm a little worried that it's not.
Great. First of all, what you have in this room is wisdom. And you should be mentoring a lot of people. Number two, you spend too much of your time selling economic buyers. People that are just looking to fulfill one of their things on their checkbox, we need to do a meeting. And they're going to call you because they've had a relationship for 10 or 15 years. You have to elevate your stature to strategic buyers. You have to move the conversation from economic, I'm there to make sure you don't get in trouble because I'll produce a good meeting and I'm very competent and I've been around for 20 years and blah, 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 to saying, what do you really need to accomplish with this? Why are you doing a meeting? And the only way you can have that conversation is the strategic buyers. When I was in your business, my relationships were the CEOs. The reason why we were so competitive that I was about the CEOs and their standing ovations, their leadership, their message, that at the end of that meeting, I transformed more managers into leaders because of the power of that meeting environment. And if I had them believe that I could do that, and the conviction of doing that, I got their business. What I don't understand of your business with your association is why am I not reading more of the power of meetings to transform cultures? Why is there not a white paper coming out that talks about the best return on investment you can get for communication dollars is no longer advertising because no one's paying attention? It's no longer a bigger trade booth because nobody cares. It's about whether your culture has shining eyes, whether your culture has got passion, whether your culture believes. Why isn't there more content in your industry coming out that has the CEOs of the world, the people that are desperately trying to find a way to compete, going, you're right, I need to invest more time harnessing the power and potential of my people. And until you have that dialogue going, you're going to be stuck with economic buyers, and as the business softens, you're going to find yourself discounting prices, you're going to find your meetings being canceled, you're going to find people going out of business, you're going to find your occupancy rates go lower, and it's just going to be the chaos that anybody else is. Change the criteria by which you have your customers buying. Stop selling stuff and start selling solutions. And you have every right, with your experience, to start going out and writing articles and putting people in there and saying, meetings make a massive difference to the way. And if I was you guys, I'd be serving a culture going in and serving a culture coming out. And I'd be saying to that, you spent X dollars with me, and look what I did in that very short period of time. Now work with me over the next 2 years, and I will evolve and transform your culture permanently. Does that make sense? Strategic buyer is paramount to your ability to succeed. You get stuck with commodity buyer, and by the way, the person you build 15 years of relationship, chances are they'll get laid off because they're just in the business of fulfilling commodities. Another question? I'll try and answer the next one a little shorter.
This is just a comment to what Gail said, because Gail and I are working on a program right now with this gentleman. I'm going to give him a plug. From Caesars in Windsor, and we are doing that with this particular client. We're looking at building attendance, we're looking at transforming the way they're doing it. And this is, by the way, an association, which is a bit different than a corporation. I think it's an evolution. I've been around this business longer than Gail, though I am younger than her.
Areas you never touch as a speaker is age, okay?
But I do believe it's an evolution. When I first got into the business, it was definitely about how many cups of coffee do I need?
Yeah.
But I've taken that turn and said, it's much more. It's about the beginning, it's about the middle, and it's about the legs. And I've been preaching this for, there's people in this room who know this, for probably 5, 6, 7 years. I think it's going to happen. I think it's an evolution. I think some of us are just more impatient than others, and I count myself in on that. We have to do that to survive, and it is about face-to-face, which is not going away. It's about a meeting being a business event, and it's about that business event furthering the events and the business mission of the overall corporation or association. And that's how we need to sell it. And that needs to start in the schools with the programs. That is very difficult to happen within the schools because I teach in that. But it is happening. I look around this room and I see people who are doing that now. And Gail's selling herself short because she does do that. So I think it is happening. It's an evolution. It's not going to happen overnight, much to my chagrin.
Well, you know, and I first of all, I applaud you for doing that, because it's tough to zig when everybody else is zagging. Only thing I can say to you is you haven't got time for an evolution. You haven't got time for an evolution. The world is not accepting that kind of transformation any longer. If they don't believe you're in enabling their competitive position, they will no longer have a meeting. They don't feel that you're part of their journey of where they need to go, your meeting will be canceled and they'll use those funds for something else that they feel is of a higher priority. This isn't about, your softness isn't about a recession. Those are short-term cancellations. If you're going to experience either growth or softness, and if your business is not growing, if you're not taking advantage of the fact that this Facebook world needs to have face-to-face interaction, you are doing such a disservice to the competitiveness of foundations and business-to-business and business-to-consumer organizations. You're doing a disservice to them if you can't convince them how important it is to come together, and like you're coming together today, and leave believing in your ability to write history. You've got to believe that, because it's not, you can't stick your head in the sand like Chamberlain did. You have to realize that it's happening, and faster than anything we ever imagined. Any other questions? My daughter did say I talked a lot. Yes?